Here's day 3. So, best to blow away as much dust as possible and save on rags and chemicals to cleaning agents. That's where I kind of like my Milwaukee vacuum. It has vacuum and it also has exhaust attachment. So you can put your hose at either end. And the best way to clean stuff is with air. You see guys detailing cars for a living, they blow everything out. They use the vacuum afterwards, but they start by blowing everything out. I used to clean houses after the drywallers were done, and we used to do that to the whole building. Blow everything out first, then come back and clean. Blow the walls off, be ready for painters. Handy little vacuum, which is good to look at when you're buying tools. Is how diverse is it? What can you use it for? So anybody who's thinking of restoring a vehicle, this will be some good insight. The process involved, what it takes. Hopefully you're engaging in such a thing in better conditions, but it can be done like this, and you can do a pretty darn good job this way. Shop vac's not as effective as air would be from the compressor, but still helps a lot. And I want to get rid of a lot of dust, as much as I'm cleaning the rails in the floor, the frame, inside the braces, cross members. You can see just how much dust is in there. I'm using the Osmos Pocket Pro camera. It's a gimbal camera, and it's very small, maybe 4 inches tall and 1 inch square. It is not happy about the job it's doing here. But it is a smaller target for everything that's flying at it, so that's a good thing about it. And being a gimbal, even if it gets bumped and stuff, it still gives you a pretty stable picture. The downside of it being so small is it's hard to see the screen, so hard to see what the picture will look like, how much of the shot I'm getting, or if I have the proper angles because the screen is so small, but it's pretty decent. I got enough picture here to give everybody a good idea what's going on. What I don't want to do is be moving the camera around all the time. There's just too much work to do, too much going on. Just want to get the general idea of what I'm doing. Some of it's informative and helpful, and some of it's just documenting the process. So if I go get an appraisal done and the guy's asking me, wondering if I just did a crap job or not, I can say, no, here's the process. Although I can give him, the hundreds of hours to review and verify the work. And for somebody who hasn't done this sort of thing before, this is helpful. And maybe you'll decide not to get involved, or if you do get involved, you'll know what you're up for. Maybe you'll pick some better tools or a better situation. So this is my cleaner. It's called Proform. And you just spray it on and wipe it off while it's still wet. And don't be cheap with it. Use it like you would water. And essentially what I'm doing is I'll probably work this little area here for an hour. Well, maybe not an hour, but quite a while. And spray it, clean, check the rag. If the rag's dirty, spray it, clean again. Spray it, clean, check the rag. When the rag comes out clean with no grit on it, they're ready for paint. So lots of rags. Rag gets dirty, throw it out, get another one. So you can get bags of rags from any auto parts store or industrial supply place. They always have rags. Janitorial supply place must have rags too. But after going through the process of properly descaling the rust, wire brushing everything, and scraping everything, there's no point in cheaping out on the most important part is clean. If it ain't clean, the paint's just not going to be happy. I know it's not very exciting to watch, but it's important that the process is presented. I know on the job site it's always ask somebody to do something or go and do something, and you don't know exactly what they need done or what's involved. So this is a good way of, here's what needs to be done. Here's the process. It's not just a quick wipe. It's scrubbing and then scrubbing again. When you're done, you want the surface to be bone dry. The product I'm using to paint this is called Pause 15, and their prep involved mixing a solution with water, and I just couldn't do that for a bunch of reasons. First of all, why would you want to add water to this process? It's the middle of summer. The frame is as dry as it's ever going to get. There's no humidity in the air for 4 weeks. It's the best possible conditions. The idea of washing it with water, diluted water solution, makes no sense to me. And I didn't have water to use. I didn't have that volume to use water. So I went with this Proform wax and grease remover. And it's definitely effective, but it's not what's recommended by the Pause 15 manufacturer. So maybe this is a bad idea, Or maybe this is going to compromise all of my work, but we'll see in the long run. I could have went with primer and paint, which is probably what I will do for everything else I do beyond the frame, just to see which works better. But this Pause 15 product was highly recommended. It's not a paint, it's a rust encapsulator. So it penetrates the rust. But you can see I'm pretty meticulous about the cleaning process. It's just a patience thing. When you start thinking yourself good enough, that's when you should take a break, because it probably isn't. Reboot, have a coffee, come back at it. It's a pretty good comparison here. The surfaces, if you look at the differential hub, how flaky and textured it is compared to the frame where I've sanded, descaled. You can tell it's down to the solid metal. It's rusty looking, but it's definitely down to the solid metal. I don't remember exactly how long this took, but just that cleaning of that section, which is 8 feet long, with all the cross members, just the cleaning prep for the paint is 2 or 3 hours. And lots of rags, and lots of solvent, which smells horrible. You want to have ventilation, so here's a good part of being outside. I do recall that I wasn't getting a lot of grit and flakes in my rags and cleaning process, which is a good indicator I did a good enough job chipping away all the rust. These pump spray containers, they're expensive. They're like $60 a piece. Pump and sprays, but in the long run it's a lot cheaper than buying cans. And as far as the trigger squirty bottles, they kill your hand after a while, and you don't get it in this don't spray as well. You can see a damp spot on the shock tower bracket, the top right corner there. That's a sign of dirt. If it stays damp, it's soaking into something. It'll evaporate before I paint it, but if I can have it dry before I paint it, like wipe dry right after I wiped it, I know that I've gotten the dirt out. But that's a tough spot in there. The rust is trapped back there. I can't really see it, and from where I can see it, I can't reach it. If I was on this side of the differential, I can't reach over there, kind of thing. So really restrictive, but you do what you can. Hopefully the paint will penetrate that stuff, but you'll see it stays damp here. And that just about wraps up my paint prep. Thankfully.